Alrighty, g'day, Stu from UAVFutures here. Welcome back to Happy Flying. This is live stream number 40. We're going to go through everything, talking a whole bunch of FPV stuff today. But I was just thinking, as I was watching this, that was the old studio in the background. You can see the lights coming on and then sort of like turning everything on. This is where we're at today in the new studio. Well, not really new studio, but we're going to be talking a whole bunch of stuff FPV in 2025. I want to say a huge shout out to everybody who is here week in, week out. We go through, we answer your questions, we talk about the latest developments in FPV, we touch back on some old things, a bit of old school history sometimes about the hobby, and answering your questions as well. So if you are stuck flying, you're a newcomer, or maybe you're a seasoned pro, or even like we've got some, I'm not calling anybody an ancient dinosaur, but we definitely do have some older members here in the chat as well. I want to say welcome wherever you are around the world. Welcome to Happy Flying. Let's quickly check the microphone. Look at this. Johnny DRC is already saying, hi, Stu. It works great. Audio good camera, all that sort of stuff. So I want to say thank you to those people because each week, week in, week out, we do really have some UAVFutures family members right here. So you guys are part of the family and you know who you are. And I just want to take this little opportunity right at the start to say thank you. Truly, thank you for being here, hanging out. It's even though we don't get to fly together, it feels like you guys are with me when I'm in the field and just we're hanging out with the power of the internet. So wherever you are around the world, I want to say thank you to those family members and for anybody else who's in the hobby as well. I would also like to say, and this is a big part of my live stream, something I really believe in is I don't want you to ever feel alone. Like my channel is all about bringing people together with these amazing little flying robots or flying blenders and just having a good time in FPV. I want you to feel like you could be here right in the field flying around because I am exactly the same as you guys. I love FPV. The only difference is when I'm flying around with my mates, I'm recording it so you guys can sort of at least feel like you're there with me. So I want to say I'm often thinking about you guys when I'm in the field as well. And then if you are struggling with your mental health in these crazy times or anything like that, FPV is a great way to improve that. And I don't want anybody to ever feel alone or like they have to suffer through that by themselves. I've been there in the past. Thankfully, I am a lot better right now, but there's also a big mental health focus in these streams. And I would like to say to anybody who is watching that who's just not feeling quite right, please don't feel like it's weak to speak. You don't have to hold it in. You don't have to keep it all to yourself. We have an amazing community here. And please, you can reach out to myself or sometimes, look, maybe if I'm not equipped to deal with a lot of that stuff, you can please reach out to a professional. There is so much support here in our community. And even if this just reaches one person watching this, I want to let you know that you are cared, you are valued about, and I'm grateful for you being here. So I would just like to make that clear. Thank you for being here, and never forget that you are special. So you might think that that's hyperbole, but I am being serious. So thank you for being here. All right. Let's quickly talk about some of the things coming up in the chat as well. Coming up in the stream. We're going to check in with all the people in the chat. We need to come up with some sort of solution as well, because every time this camera says viewfinder inactive, we need to sort of think of something we can type in the chat that happens each time, because it can be changed. I've got like a Canon, I think it's an M50 or something behind the scenes right here, but that is my main filming studio camera as well. So I take that downstairs into the studio. You can remove it with like a firmware update. And I feel like I'm pretty confident with like hacking together firmwares and that sort of stuff. But when it comes to a Canon camera, I don't really want to mess with it, because if it goes wrong, well then I'm a bit out of luck. And like that's my main filming camera for my normal videos besides my streams. So that's why you see that on there. If you've got some good suggestions on what we can type here, please put that in the comments down below. But this is what we've got coming up in the stream. We had something pretty awesome from Grim Ripper. He has a pilot name generator, which looks like a lot of fun. That's over on DIY FPV. We're going to be checking that out. I'm going to be coming up with some names for you guys in the chat as well. So if you've ever wanted to wonder, what would your alternate FPV name be? Don't worry, we're going to have you covered. We're going to be talking about analog in 2025, like where is it headed, which goggles to get and why it is a much more difficult choice. And we actually don't have as many options as we did say like 4 years ago or something, before a lot of the hobby moved over to digital. We're going to be talking about this system right here. So finally, we've had a bit of a hands-on with the Edge T3. You would have seen some of my latest videos about that. So we're going to be going through, we're going to be answering some of your questions, looking at some of the DVR, the pros, the cons, some of the things that I want to mention that I forgot to mention in the video. So a couple of those little parts as well. We have, and I've been getting some comments about like receiver units and like the strength of the signal and why ground stations are better and why they don't want some things. So we're going to be talking a little bit about like some technical stuff about RF. I know a lot of people don't like to have a big RF generator next to their head, but I'm going to put those fears to bed and say why that really isn't a problem. Even if you're not using a ground station. So if you would like to know a little bit about RF frequencies, how to get the most out of your long range flying, and if you're using some really high watts VTXs, what to worry about, what are the real concerns, and then what are like just a bit of a misunderstanding of how our technology works. And then I also want to talk about DJI because this set of goggles right here, I may be, look, I don't think I'm in the minority. These are the N3s, but I might be in the minority in terms of like the review scene of things, because I know a lot of people really like these, but also a lot of reviewers say to get the G3s. The G3s I do think are a better goggle, but I have a lot of praise for these goggles right here, except for a couple of little issues that if DJI just fixed that, I think it would be like such a smart business decision for them to do what I believe these goggles can do. It's just that, are they going to push this update out that's going to allow that? So we're going to be talking about DJI as well. And also, oh, sorry, just smashing a couple of things around here. I'm going to be answering your questions. So if you have any questions, if there's anything you'd like me to investigate, to help you with, to just anything about FPV that you want to bring up on the stream, throw it in the chat. And on the other flip side of that, like in terms of new releases, this is a pretty quiet week in FPV. So we should have plenty of time to answer your questions and then just generally have a good time. So I'm going to read out a couple little things. I know we've got Happy Flyer RC. He's saying it's Stu that brings us all together. Crazy Rooster, appreciate you, Stu. Wicked Drums is saying cracked version detect. There we go. Viewfinder inactive, just as I mentioned it. So we've got that right there. Johnny DRC is saying he's still using a Runcam 5 Orange. It's interesting. If you don't know what that is, I don't even know if they still sell those. So I was actually trying to find a cheap camera, Runcam Orange, to get a bit of B-roll. And let's see if we can find this. I'm over on DIY FPV. I've got the Runcam 5 right here, which is this right here, $100. Okay. So this is back in the day when everybody was using it. It was like a little session camera, a GoPro session, because this is sort of before digital, bit of a tangent here. But if you're new to FPV in 2025 or since the digital craze, now the DVR, I believe, on board is so good that a lot of people don't need to use these sorts of action cameras. But for a while, they were like every single freestyle quad was always flown with a GoPro or a Session or a Runcam 5 Orange, or I think it was like a Polaroid Cube, even one of my mates was flying around with. So yeah, there we go. That's not cheap though. $100 for one of those. That's kind of wild in today's these stores must have a look. Look how much in stock we've got. So we've got a lot of stores here. I wonder if this is with, this can't be with tariffs, right? Oh, maybe it is. Okay, so these have gone up just a little bit. I wouldn't be paying this much for one of these cameras right now anyway. Let me know what you record with. Like, do you do DVR? Do you think if you fly around with digital or walk snail, it's good enough? Or are you still one of those people like Stickman Steve who thinks nothing beats a GoPro? He always builds his craft so he can strap a GoPro to the top. He does have a nice GoPro though. Let me just say that. It sounds almost inappropriate. Wicked Drums is saying, I'm looking to buy a Baby Ape 2, but the reviews look like a real cheap camera. Could I switch it out and stay with HD0? Let's have a look here, Baby Ape 2. Let me know, like, what's the weather like where you guys are? Because for me, it's been a bit hit and miss. Like, it's rainy, it's sunny. I don't know, it's been a nightmare to mow the lawn as well. Are you talking about this one right here? Is this what you're looking at getting? So one of these craft? Let's have a look. So I actually haven't flown one of these, and this the Cine Ape is it was like the cheapest drone that we've ever sort of that was what it recommended, the cheapest drone that's like a 2-inch Cine Whoop style. I really liked it, to be honest. I was pleasantly surprised. So okay, you want to get this, but the camera looks a bit cheap. Let's go to Rotorama, Canadian store here. Shout out to them for being part of DIY FPV. I don't think it would have a good camera in here. Obviously, it's just going to be analog. If you want to put it, they have CADX, I think. The CADX Ant. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's still analog, yeah. Light, key features, camera. I mean, maybe this is a brick. That's a bit of a joke because the camera's called cement. I don't know who. If you're gonna make an FPV camera, don't call it cement. You don't want to be flying a brick around. Look, yeah, I would just switch it out. If it's cheap enough and you can't get one that doesn't come like without a camera, obviously if you're not going to use it, it's a bit of a pain to buy extra things. But you could, it looks like there's enough room to definitely put in some HD0 boards and then, or maybe if you're going to go some other sorts of digital. I don't know how much room is at the back here though. So, oh, that looks like a Vista. Is that two different? This is two different pictures. So right here we've got an analog version, got a VTX at the back. That is a Vista, which I believe anyway. So you probably could fit some things definitely in the back right there. I don't know, I could be wrong, but let me know what you guys think. Does that look like a Vista in the back? And this is the weight with the Vista. Yeah, that's definitely a Vista in there. So no problem if you want to switch over, fly that around, and have some digital as well. I haven't tested it. I want to make that clear as well. All right, I'm getting distracted. This is the first thing that I actually want to show you. This is super cool. So this is over on DIY FPV, Grim Ripper, awesome little pilot, and I have to give him a shout out. He makes some really, really cool content. So if you haven't seen him on YouTube, not right now, after this stream, definitely, because you want to stay here, go check that out. But I'm going to come up with some names. We have right here our FPV pilot name generator. So let's check this out. So this is what, hopefully this is all appropriate. I should have probably checked this. This is going to be my, in an alternate universe, this is what I would have, if my name would be, let's find out. Hal Skull FPV. Okay. All right, let's see. We've got two else. If you would like to know what your name's going to be, put it in the chat. And just for today, I'm going to see if I can remember some of these. So Johnny DRC, I know you are here week in, week out. I'm going to do my members as well. So Saber Mirage FPV. Okay. Sprony. Let's see what you would get. Here we go. Tracer Pioneer FPV. So a lot of little fun things we can have right here. I know Mystery J and Stickman Steve. So we're going to give this one to Mystery J. Gator Polar FPV. And what would Stickman Steve be as well? Because it's all about having that cool, edgy name. I wonder if they all have FPV after them. Because that's not my... UAVFutures, Bardwell, Nick Burns, Mad Text, like a lot of these channels, Bot Grinder. Maybe that seems like, what's the biggest channel that has FPV in their name in terms of subscriber counts? Like even, I don't know. Maybe FPV is like, this is when you're making like cool freestyle videos. And if you want to make content and reviewing content, maybe don't have the FPV part. All right. This is Stickman Steve's name right here. Outlaw Nebula FPV. Okay. So yeah, I thought that this is kind of cool actually. Maybe we can find a way to integrate this. Look, this is Grim Ripper's website. I haven't spoken to him or anything like that, but maybe we can, that would be a fun little secret to have this somewhere on your profile page in DIY FPV. Pretty cool stuff right there. Other people saying Venom Stone FPV, Jev FPV. Johnny DRC is saying, I went RC because I fly everything. Express Overdrive FPV right there. And that's what a hobby is really good at, is also having a bit of fun. Now, I would like to move on, and we're going to talk about a bit of a series. I'm just looking at the time right here. I can't believe it's already 1:15. And it's always so quiet before I start these streams, like in the house. No one's here. And I actually have to double check that the microphone's working because I'm not sitting around just talking to myself all day, and it's so quiet. And then you press that live button and it is like, it's on, like you're on the radio basically, or having a bit of a chat. However, let's talk about this. This is a bit of a serious topic. I would like to talk about analog in 2025. Where are my analog goggles? I've left them downstairs. Now, I'd like to talk about analog in 2025. Is it dead? And why it is harder than ever to jump into the hobby and choose the right pair of goggles for you, because analog has been around for a long time. Now we've got digital options, like we've got our DJI right here. I've got my Cadex goggles right here, and I was having a look at DIY FPV, and I thought, what newcomer goggles would I recommend? In the past, we had plenty of options because digital didn't exist. So there were a lot of companies vying for for your hard-earned cash. What one should we get? We had a lot of options. You could choose a whole bunch. Let me know what you guys started with. But if I head over here to the catalog, check this out. And we go to FPV equipment, and we're going to go some analog goggles like that straight off the bat. Look at this. Hang on. This is wild. In this day, FPV has been around for 10 years. Look at the digital systems, 290 products. We have 1,000 FPV antennas. When it comes to even video transmitters, this is going to be analog. There's only 208 of those in the catalog, and we've got 40 goggles. Like, it has never been a more difficult time to choose a pair of FPV goggles if you're into analog, and there is two major reasons for that. Number one, you need to think about price, and every dollar that you are going to spend, the more you spend and the better goggles you get, well, you're going to be pushed closer and closer to the digital side of things. There's going to be a lot of analog goggles here that are rivaling digital prices, and in some cases are significantly more expensive than a digital system. And number two, with that popularity of digital, that means there is less incentive for companies to make that. Now, who should get analog goggles? What are they good for? Often they are good for a very, very cheap entry point into the hobby, and you're not locked into an ecosystem. They do have some lower latency, and maybe you want to go to racing and you like that sort of analog look. Now, what they're not good for is, it's basically the biggest letdown of analog is the crisp image. Like, it's like looking at an old VHS tape and then putting on a GoPro or 1080p video. It just does not look, in my opinion, nearly as good as any of the other systems. And I'm including HD0, I'm including the Edge T3, right up to the DJI O4 Pro air units and that sort of stuff. Analog is never going to look like that, but that doesn't mean that it isn't a ton of fun. And if you have a pair of analog goggles, there's nothing wrong with it. But we're going to go through and I'm going to talk about some of the struggles. And if you're thinking about jumping in, this is often a suggestion that people say, hey, I want to get a pair of goggles. Which one should I get? But look at this. So this is our options, and we can have a look at the price range. I don't know what is coming in at $850. Let's see. I'm going to guess that's going to be a SkyZone 04X Pro after a tariff price. Yep. Well, let's see. Let's see how close I was to that. Man. Okay. So long range antenna package. Doesn't really tell us much here. I'm gonna have to look into this. Here, DIY FPV devs. Oh, it's not found. Oh, that's because I'm coming from an outside. If this ever happens and you need to go, this might be based on my location. When you go to Firefly, this is a known thing that happens with this store. If you check it and you're in incognito mode or you're in the States, it'll go through. This is because I'm looking at it from Australia, which is why it's doing that. However, all right, so I don't think anyone's going to be paying $850. That's including the tariffs for a pair of that goggles. You might think that's absolutely insane. Let's have a look here. The cheapest one that we have, we've got $100 Fat Sharks. Orca, I don't even know if they're into the hobby side of things anymore. I think they're a bit more military. SkyZone Cobras are a great choice, but look at the price again, $190. $39. It's probably the cheapest ones. The problem is if you go really, really cheap as well, you're not going to have a good time. JFBV saying, I think every new pilot should be made to use EV800s for a month before moving on to other goggles. It's a rite of passage. Yeah, I really, and I'm going to get in trouble here. I don't like the EV800Ds, and I was quite upset at the community. Like, let me know if am I in the wrong or right here. I saw so many reviewers saying this is a good pair of goggles, you should get it. They were flying other goggles. I didn't see anybody who was a large content creator stick with the EV800Ds and really put pack after pack after pack after pack. I couldn't do it because maybe I have old man eyes. It hurt my face and my eyes looking at that. I didn't want to fly using them. So I was often being like, I don't like these goggles. You're letting yourself down. This is giving people the wrong impression. I want to get people flying, not keep them out of the hobby. So that one, I have to say, I have a bee in my bonnet about the EV800Ds. I know a lot of people do like them. And I don't know if that's because so many people recommended them and then they purchased them and they're like, yeah, this is great. But in my experience, I do not like the EV800Ds. Now, we're getting off topic, but let's just have a look here. If you are jumping in and you want to get a set of analog goggles, I don't think you're going to have a great FPV experience. Now, even just looking at any of these were some of my all-time favorites right here, out of stock. They were great. They use that. It's all about, for me, the focal range, like looking at something without feeling cross-eyed, but then you're up to like $200. If you want to get an expensive pair, like the EV800, not the EV800s, the SkyZone 04 Pros, like this right here, you're looking at $400. So, and both of these are excluding taxes. And then when you compare this to like digital prices, let's go back here, have a look at digital. Can I just sing some praises about how well this website is working, by the way? Let's have a look at some digital systems like DJI, the N3 goggles, $224. So you either, for my recommendation, for most pilots coming into the hobby, unless you are a racing whoop pilot, you have a special niche. You know, you have even access to like the HD Zero Box Pros. But for most people who like to fly around, get together with their friends, I'm talking to you guys who are just everyday pilots who aren't hardcore racers. You just want to go out, freestyle around, have some fun. Analog is in a tricky space because you can get like $230. You got these, the N3s. I'm not talking tariffs or anything like that as well. That makes it so hard for me to recommend. Unless you go the ultra budget cheap experience, why would you spend more money on a pair of expensive analog goggles? And it's just it is a very, very tricky time if you're in the analog market. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with analog. I just think that that's why an analog in 2025, which goggle to get, when you start to recommend them, unless you say, hey, here is the really, really cheap pair, but it's not going to be the best. You understand you are buying cheap, so you're getting about the lowest quality that you can. And then they're like, hey, just spend a little bit more money, get a better pair of analog. Well, then you're almost into digital territory as well. Now, on the flip side of that, I do have a bit of a rant that I would like to mention when it comes to goggles like this. And here is me. I need to apologize right here because I have made a big deal in the past about if you would like analog, and I've completely changed my tune on this, maybe call it like FPV maturity. Let me know what you think. Do you want your digital goggles to have an analog input? And I want you to think seriously about that. Because for me, I always said, yeah, I want that goggle that can do everything. Now, why am I going to have analog quads? If I have analog drones, I probably have a pair of analog goggles. It means I've been in the hobby for a little while. I'm not going to buy a new pair of digital goggles and then go out and buy a whole bunch of analog VTXs because that would be completely ridiculous. So when I'm over here saying, I want a pair of analog goggles, I want a pair of to be able to put my analog into my goggles like these, I've realized that that's just being dumb. And I can back that up with some facts because every time I've gone flying for an analog drone, do you think that I put an analog receiver and feed it into this? No, I just go get my analog pair of goggles. So yeah, I don't actually think that nowadays that you need an analog input in your digital goggles. If I'm going to fly analog, I'm set because I've already got those analog goggles right there. If I'm going to fly digital, then I'm going to use a pair of digital goggles. Now, that's just my opinion, but it is making me believe that I need to put less and less stock into can you run analog into the pair of goggles in 2025. I don't know, maybe that's just kind of my strange way of thinking, but if you have a pair of digital goggles and analog goggles, do you ever put on an analog module and still fly with your digital goggles? I would be shocked if most pilots don't just go back and buy, like if you got some SkyZones, you're going to be flying them every single time rather than feeding in extra modules and stuff into your digital. Now, I've got to give a shout out. I can see John's here as well. Every Day with Bruno saying, I don't know, thinking 2 sets of good ones. As soon as I can get Box Pros, that will be my daily. I can't wait to see some people. I would love to fly around with the Box Pros. And I know a lot of people think that I hate HD Zero. And I want to make this, I should probably make this pretty clear. As a reviewer, I'm going to jump into 2 things here. We're going to be as a reviewer and the company, and then I'm going to be talking about the product that they have as well. I feel like I tried to save some face for that company and took a lot of the blame about the NDA. A lot of people think I hate HD0 because of the miscommunication and that I wasn't sent a pair of goggles. And I would like to put it out there that I kind of publicly took the blame on that to help them. I believe I wanted to put their best image forward and say, yeah, I'll take some of the heat. But it's not entirely my fault at all. And I was a bit disappointed when it came down to them being like, oh, and by the way, enough's enough, Stu. And I was like, what are you talking about? You don't want this review? Like, I was a little bit disappointed there that they didn't want a review of their product. Now, in terms of their actual product, I hope we can get one on the channel. Maybe we need to do like a streaming goal or something like that to be able to review the Box Pros. I think the Box Pros look like a fantastic goggle option. I like what they're doing. I think HD0 has some really, really cool tech. There's a couple little things I would like to change about it, and I don't know enough about the system to be able to make these recommendations. I would love to talk to Carl about some ideas that I have that I think are pretty straightforward to implement. But I like what they're doing with the low latency. I like the inroads that they're making for the community. They are giving us lots of options, and they understand their audience well. They know that they want latency. They know that they are after whoop racing, and they know that they are after like 5-inch, the best of the best that they can do as well. They have done a lot for our hobby, and I wish them nothing but success. I do not hate HD0 at all. I would love to do more work for their stuff in the future. And this is a bit of a call out because I can't test them. I don't have any HD0 goggles or anything like that. I have to go beg, borrow, steal a pair to try to get some reviews out there. So if you've got some DVR footage that looks good, can you please send that to me in a DVR file, not on YouTube, because a lot of people are saying YouTube compresses it and makes it look like absolute garbage when it is better than that. My only issue with the goggles for me as an everyday pilot is that image quality I value more than low latency. So that's for me. That's why it is not my goggle of choice. But I would just like to make it clear that I don't hate them at all in any way, shape, or form. I wish them nothing but success. I hope that more people who want that sort of lower latency enjoy that system and get out there, because competition is good for us all. I do not particularly like how DJI has one giant foothold that is kind of can push around and monopolize our hobby. It is always better for us to have some options. And that's why I'm pretty excited about like the Edge T3s and stuff like that are coming out. They might not be the best, but if they are offering some stuff for users and for us hobbyists and us pilots that the other big systems aren't doing, that's going to breed innovation. It's going to create competition. It's going to lower prices. It's going to make it's a win-win to have as many people in this hobby as possible. So I just want to clear that up because I know I think I've seen a shout out to Spaghetti FPV who does some pretty cool videos, I must say. He's like, I think Stu just hates HD0. It is nothing like that at all. I wish them nothing but success. I think the box goggles look like a cool product. It's not going to be for everybody, but it is definitely going to be for a part of that. There is a percentage of pilots who it is absolutely suited for. And probably my favorite thing that I like about the box goggles, and I have to say, I wish other companies did this, is that glasses solution of just being able to like buy a special insert that you can just screw directly in there. That's some clever thinking. I really, really like that. All right. Let's see. Every day with Bruno saying you did the right thing, and it was an unfortunate situation. It just sucks you got the short end. It seems, yeah, that's where I guess professionally I was like, wait, what? I'm trying to take the rap for you here and save some face. Let's see. Do a streaming goal, mate. I'll chip in. That's from Kobe Wetson. How much are box goggles? Let's have a look right now. If we find some, here we go. Where are we at? So this is Canadian, some Aussie stores. All right, they're about 400 US dollars right here. Maybe we'll have to set up a goal or something like that to get a bit of a review going of the HD0 Box Pros, and then you guys can decide for yourself. If this happens, I will buy the VTXs and stuff like that as well, and I will get the best quality one that I can, so I can show the best image quality, I should say, of what it actually looks like, because that's something that I want to show as well. All right, we're going to talk about the Edge T3. Right now, if you are new to FPV or you're just jumping in for the first time, you might have seen a few videos popping up because I know we do HD0, we do CADX walks now, we do DJI, but you might not have seen this recently, and let me know your thoughts if you have seen it. This is the Edge T3 system. I got to fly with this over the weekend. I put a whole bunch of packs through it. There's some pros and cons and things that I really do like about it. If I show you the video, and for some weird reason, I can't show you the exact DVR because it doesn't like to play on my computer natively. Like it sort of hangs a little bit, which is not what I want to do on the stream. So you're going to be watching a video that I've uploaded. So remember, so this is the onboard recording you can see right now. Let me just mute this annoying dude talking down here in the bottom left-hand corner. So this is sort of what you can expect. This is the onboard recording. We are flying this craft right here. So this is what you can see flying around. It doesn't look terrible. Like it's actually pretty clear. Oh, great, we're getting an ad right here. Who would like to buy some cheese, guys? At Woolworths, like one of the most, we only have 2 supermarkets in Australia. It's an absolute ripoff that are such a monopoly. All right, so yeah, cruising this around. This is pretty clear. However, have a look at the digital breakup in terms of the DVR that you're about to see. So on the left here, this side is the DVR, and you will notice just before we come around this tree right here. So this tree, I want you to keep focus on. There's like a really big grassy piece of, like, I think they call it guinea grass right here. And it's actually like a noxious weed. I do need to rip it out, but there's a chicken in here that escapes and she likes to go and lay her eggs underneath that. So I haven't actually removed it. It's a bit of like a safe haven where the chicken thinks I'm not going to get her eggs. Anyway, cruising around here, you can see we get this sort of weird smearing here on the left, and I'm going to pause it when we're looking at, so here's the grass here. Hopefully, you just sort of, we've got a pretty bit of good detail on the right. You wait till I move this around again, and that grass now, I'm in the way. Let me, how can I make myself disappear right here? I'm sure we'll look at the detail, like here. That's just a green blob. This grass is actually extending, I think, up to about here, like, or maybe even up to here, because it is quite there's like a lot of seed pods or whatever that come out the top of the grass. You can't even see them in this. Yeah, okay, see these lines? That's actually grass stems. Like up to here, you can, that little mark right there, there's like 100 of these little stems coming out from the top of this. So the detail and the clarity in the Edge T3 system just isn't there. And I've also got we're growing some passion fruit. There's a couple of like trellis or like little wires for the vines to grow across right here. Just impossible to see. Oh, and there's all the grass things that finally come into focus. But even here, like this line that's going across, that's a bit of wire that I have for the passion fruit to grow across eventually. Impossible. So it is definitely not made for a freestyle solution or a racing solution. You just don't have that fidelity and clarity right here. It's only a 1080p system, but that is not to say it is not without its like positives. I have to, like, if someone said to me, is this good enough? You can still have an awesome time with this, I believe. And remember, I've started FPV on my very old analog goggles. And this is where I had to think of, like, would I prefer this to analog? And it does offer, like, look how muddy this is. It's a bit of a double-edged sword where it's got a nice image when it's working, when it's in focus, when the bit rate and everything. And right here, I don't know if it looks better in analog in some parts when it's in focus, like up here, these trees look great, these branches, but then when it is a very messy or a busy image, look at this. This is a tree that just looks like you've smeared Vaseline all over the lens in that specific part. So I don't know. There's pros and cons as well. It's got a little bit of latency as well. It's got like 60 milliseconds. Now, I wasn't doing any crazy flying because if we go to bring this in a second, this doesn't also record DVR. So this is one of the problems. When you have this, I'm actually flying this by looking at this computer screen that you are looking right now, and I'm feeding that inside into my computer. I'm flying like not with a pair of goggles while I'm doing this. I didn't notice too much latency, I guess I should say extra latency. And I think we can see me sort of staring at the, look, there I am. That's how close I am to the screen, trying to set that up so I can fly and record some DVR. So that's one of the biggest problems I have with the Edge T3 system. I wish that this could record some DVR. Just put a little DVR, like a little SD card slot in there. Bob's your uncle, or Brad in my case. It'd be great. The other part as well, like how are you meant to mount this? I don't know why. Why don't they just put a little, like a screw hole or a clip or some quick attachment? Anything, even just a little section that popped out that you could feed a Velcro strap through. That would be a great recommendation as well. And then finally, and I saw some comments about this, we have a USB-C to HDMI. I would like HDMI out so I could just plug HDMI in. But if you need this specific cable and you want to stick with USB-C and that's for you, that's fine. Just include that in the box, please, because I had to use this dongle, which is like my SD card reader. And thank goodness, like let me know in the chat, do you have this sort of cable just laying around, a USB-C to HDMI? Maybe I'm like some old school computer dinosaur that's meant to have these cables and I just haven't. I mean, I have a really old phone and I don't upgrade all the time and buy all different cables or anything like that. The only tech I really get is stuff for filming. Yeah, for me, that's just a mistake, but maybe that would change in the future. Let's see what other people are saying. Let's see, good budget analog goggles that are not super boxy. Are there any good budget analog goggles that are not super boxy? No, there's not. You are asking quite a lot right there. I know we did just talk about analog stuff. There's nothing. If you want non-boxy goggles for analog, you really have to go like an expensive pair that's going to be like some Sky Zones, or maybe you can find some secondhand Fat Sharks, and it just doesn't exist. So, and someone's saying spending less than $100. No, it's not. This just doesn't exist. Sorry. Everything is boxy if it's cheap, and everything is expensive if it's that dual screen binocular sort of style. Now, I want to also talk about, let's see, Bob's your brother's mother, and we switch from DJI and Edge 3. Okay. Is that good at long range? Wicked Drum saying it's crazy. Could they fix that? I imagine they fix little things like that. It'd be a badass little system that could contend with DJI. Yeah, so in terms of this, just please, Edge T3, I know it's early days. This might have been a prototype run. Even if this would be a little solution, how hard is it to include a cable? I'm pretty sure they can figure that out. Do that, please. Even if you don't want to design a new base plate, I mean, it's got 4 screws right here. Maybe we can 3D print something and include that, or just give us some files that we can print out that this will clip in. Like that would go a long way. Internal recording on the DVR for this system, that's going to be a bit more difficult, and I understand that's going to take some engineering. But even with my limited skills, I feel like I could make a base plate, and I could go on Amazon and find a cable to say, hey guys, let's include this in the box to our customers. The other part too is you've got to think about the price, because it's also pretty similar price to a lot of the other systems. All right, 10:40, we're going to continue. If you've got any questions, please throw them in the chat. If you're one of the members, throw me down some emojis. Let me see where you are as well. And I'm going to answer Graphics as he's saying, hey, UAVFutures, been watching some of your vids for new flyers, had a DJI Mini 3 for a while now and wanted to get into FPV. Can you explain the difference with box goggles versus others? Is like 3D or... Okay, absolutely. So let's have a look here. If you haven't seen my website, mate, it is DIY FPV. This is a great place to look for just like a giant catalog. And it's all free for you to use as well. Like there's no commission or anything like that. You simply come in here, you find what you want to purchase, and it's going to give you a list of like where you can get it from and like which stores have it in stock, list all their prices. It's a pretty powerful, cool website made for you guys. Now, you are asking about box goggles, and the difference is if we're looking at analog, or it could be digital right here. This is a pair of box goggles. This is a pair of box goggles, and this is, I'm in the way. This is like a binocular sort of style, which means it has 2 little screens. Now, if you're talking about analog, what that simply means is it is either one big screen that you are looking at, or if you're buying a pair of goggles like this right here, the 04 Pros, you have two little screens to look at. So I don't know if you ever look at any VR goggles or anything like that. Something like the Quest 2 or the Quest 3, they have two little screens. There is no significant difference in terms of, like you're saying, it's not 3D or anything like that. You're not going to get any 3D vision. It is purely, ultimately, it comes down to like the clarity of the image that you can see and how well your eyes can focus. Now, for me, a lot of these box goggles, I have trouble focusing. Like I feel a little bit cross-eyed. The focal length just doesn't work for me. And I have none of those issues. And it's wild that even though these goggles right here, the screens are significantly closer on a binocular style pair of goggles, I don't get any eye strain at all. So that is it. There's no 3D, nothing like that. The FPV feed straight back to your face is going to be the same. That's all. Now he's saying the difference with the dual screen versus single, like I'm used to in VR headsets, is the output the same or is the image still flat? Yeah, it's always 2D. There has been one set of 3D goggles that SkyZone can do, but in order to do that, you need to run. I wonder if we can actually find a pair. Do they even make those anymore? Let's see if that is in here. I have done a video. It's probably about 7 years old. Let's see if we can find anything in here. Because SkyZone actually made a dual video system that did let you have 3D video, and it was kind of cool, but they don't make them anymore. That's what I'm going to say. So yeah, 99.999% of drones out there just use a standard flat 2D image. There is no 3D image around, unless you can track down one of those relics it had two cameras set about a small eye width apart that you could look in, and that's where you could get some 3D FPV. It was kind of cool, but it was pretty gimmicky as well. You need twice as much bandwidth on the channel, so you need to be sending out on two different video transmitters, and your goggles needed to be able to pick up two different signals as well. So only SkyZone ever made that solution. It was pretty fun though. That's the pair I run with the Sky 03 2's 3D. Never used the 3D option. Yeah, because you need that special camera, and it was also a pain. Like you can't mount that in here. Imagine you're trying to have a drone, and instead of having our little single camera at the front, you actually need your two cameras, and they're quite like perfect. In a perfect world, they'd be eye distance apart as well to get the perfect effect for you. So the front of your drone is going to be whatever your IPD distance is between your eyes. And Johnny DRC is saying it looked bad. I had some fun with it, but it wasn't what I wanted all the time as well. I don't think it helped my flying. It didn't help my immersion or anything like that. So yeah, but welcome to the hobby, I must say. If you are coming from normal DJI flying like the Mini 3, this hobby is all about, it's just about having fun. Like you get to really feel like you are racing through the trees and being a bird. And when you got the goggles on, and you're in control, it feels totally different to normal DJI flying, and anybody in the chat will let you know. Will let you know that as well. Like it goes from sitting in the front seat of an Uber to riding a motorbike. Like that's how much of a jump in terms of just like fun it actually is. So if you want to jump in and try FPV. He's saying, yeah, I was just confused which to go for. Honestly, I prefer the non-box style since it's similar lightweight profile. I'm going to say my biggest advice to you if you are coming into the hobby in this age is not to go have a look at some digital options out there, because if you are currently looking at DJI footage with your Mini 3 or whatever it is that you said you were flying around with, going back to analog, it's pretty rough. So if you are used to that and you value image quality, have a look at some of the digital solutions out there. Yes, they're going to cost a little bit more. Like these goggles here are $230. These are actually a box goggle, but I don't have any focal issues with these ones. The G3s, which are DJI as well, they're a step up, but they're like $500 and something. This is all excluding tariffs, I should say, as well. So I don't know. Other people might have some ideas. If someone was coming into the hobby right now, would you recommend they go digital? Would you recommend they go analog? Throw that in the chat there. so we can help custom graphics out. Let him know. Johnny DRC is saying he's flying like Superman. And Kobe is saying, and far safer than riding a motorcycle too. All right. The next thing I want to mention is I have this coming in the post. Check this out. And I have never flown one of these before. So this is a VTOL that is coming. This is also from the Edge T3 guys. They said, hey, Stu, are you also interested in checking out our VTOL? I said, yep, no worries. I didn't know that it was like $700. So I don't know why that is. That's like crazy money for a VTOL. These images don't really help at all because it's all obviously superimposed. I mean, either this is like, I don't know, maybe how big is this? Like maybe that's bigger than all the buildings. Maybe that's like the mothership from Independence Day. I'm not sure. I can't get my frame of reference correct here. However, I am pretty excited to fly one of these for the first time. I don't know what else I'll be able to do with it. It might be fun to do some missions and to switch between flying fixed wing and flying like an actual drone. I'm just hoping I can fly it in a way that is conducive to fun, and it's not just like a sort of hovering, not fast thing. You can get a couple of different little options here as well. I've already got, this is the system right here, but this might be exactly what this caters for. If you are not doing that flippy flop freestyle sort of flying, an Edge T3 in here, because they do say that this can go long range, this might be the perfect thing to marry that up with. So I don't know, all in all, I'm pretty excited. And as well, if you don't like launching fixed wing aircraft, that's when 9 times out of 10 you're going to crash them. This is going to help, like just having a button maybe that can fly the drone up, the VTOL aircraft up, and then press another button and it turns into a fixed wing. Yeah, I'm always excited for some new tech. So stay tuned because that's going to be here as well. Let's see, jumping over. We're going to be talking about ground stations in just a little bit. I do want to get your opinion right now. So I'm just looking at the time. I want to get your opinion on this because it's something that I truly believe in, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make enough noise about it. The biggest thing for me that I don't like about DJI in 2025 is that we have a great pair of goggles here. I really like the DJI N3s. They're not perfect, but I think for the price, they're going to get a lot of people in. But DJI is missing a huge opportunity, guys. Like if someone ever sends them this video, why don't they make these work with the O3 air units out there? So if you buy this pair of goggles today, you can't bind up with any of the digital DJI O3 air units. And I think that is an absolute travesty. Like that is such a crime that they can do that. Can you imagine this? Maybe you have an old pair of DJI goggles, you want to jump in and you want to try DJI, the latest O4 air units, which these can bind up to, but then you say, hey, I'm not going to fly the O4s because my current goggles don't do that. And even if I upgraded to a set of these goggles, well, now I'm not going to be able to fly any of my old things. So it's sort of, I don't know why they're doing that. It's limiting people from buying this system right here. Imagine now you go, oh, I want to try the latest air units. I'm going to just buy this pair of goggles. Ooh, I've got a backup. It's still going to work with all my other systems as well. So for me, it is completely crazy that these were engineered and sold without connecting to the DJI O3 air units. Please fix that. I don't know. Does someone know any of the reasons why that is like that? It just seems absolutely ludicrous for it. And I think they can do it with like a software update, right? Like, and if they haven't done that, I don't know. Obviously, I have no communication with DJI. They haven't spoken to me for a long time. So if you are in the know, or if you would just, do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea? Type that in the chat right now. Should the N3 goggles work with O3 systems? Do we want that? I think other people are going to say, yeah. Like Blue Sky is saying, totally, it's a money grab. Yeah, but I feel like they would get more money doing this. Like, I don't know. If I was on the fence about buying that and then I read that they don't work with all my other, like some of these drones, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to buy that right now. Okay, someone's saying I got the V2s. Johnny DRC saying that's my issue as well. It's the only goggle too, and it sucks. If the G3 can connect to both, you'd think that the N3 could. Preaching, absolutely. All right, The last thing I want to talk about today is, before answering some of your questions as well, if you got them, throw them in the chat. I want to talk about ground stations. They're important, their pros and cons, what they're good for, and some of the misunderstandings about them as well. Because recently when we reviewed this, this is the Edge T3. It goes on a ground station. And one of the comments that I saw was like, I prefer ground stations. For one, that's kind of wild. We'll talk about their pros and cons. And number two, they spoke about the reason is because they don't want a big RF frequency thing on their head, like a module that you could plug into a set of goggles like this. And I want to make this very clear. You do not have to worry about the power level of a VTX on your drones or your aircraft, because in your goggles and in your adapter units, they are receivers, which means they are getting the signal sent to them. These are not pumping out 3 watts. These are not sending out huge amounts of information back to the drone that is like, it's not sending out a whole bunch of video. It will communicate with some telemetry. It will send out a little bit back to the drone. I understand a lot of these systems are two-way, but the amount of RF that your goggles send out is so infinitesimally, I think I pronounced that right, like so infinitely small compared to, say, flying around a 3-watt GT camera or something like that that's coming out from your drone. So the drone is where all the power is. That's what is. You don't want, you might not, if you care about RF, you don't want to be putting the drone pumping that out next to your head. But the actual goggles, you don't have to worry. So when it comes to putting a ground station, and your biggest worry is, are you going to be using this for the RF loss that's not next to your brain? You don't really have to worry about that. And on the flip side too, a lot of people saying, oh, look at Stu, he doesn't have any antennas on his goggles. What a poor choice. Doesn't he know that that burns it out? No, that is, again, only for transmitters. So if you have an analog set of goggles and you don't have antennas on, you don't need them. They're not sending anything out. They are purely made for receiving. If you don't have an antenna on your VTX, on your video transmitter, on your drone, and it's sending out a signal, then you're going to be in trouble. That's when things burn out. So I just want to clear that misconception up there, because I've had a few people in my chat, or I should say in some videos in the past, sort of talk about that, and that's just incorrect information. Now, in terms of the pros and cons on should you be using a ground station, ground stations are great for some specific situations, and they're also pretty annoying in some others. So number one, ultimately, things I don't like about them, it's annoying. I got to take a tripod. I got to set some more things up. It's harder to lug around. It's not as quick to set up if I'm in the field. If I just want to go out there, rip around, and then come back, like pack everything in my backpack, done. Easy to do without a ground station, which is why little modules and stuff that you can plug in, or little things you can compress into your backpack, a lot of people are going to like. Things that ground stations are good for is often there is a lot of situations where you are flying, and especially like some fixed wing or some long range missions where you are not looking at your FPV feed all the time. You can have a ground station set up. You might have one screen on there that is displaying your telemetry. You might have another screen which is showing your video, and you need to go back and forth. And you might also be, while you're doing that, looking at your radio, like changing some of the settings or working with your radio, seeing what the readout is right there on your telemetry. So, and I shout out to Trappy from TBS. I've seen him fly a few long range missions, and sometimes without getting him in trouble with some local authorities overseas, we have been flying a long range mission where you can't even see the video feed anymore. I worded that very carefully, but he's flying directly off the telemetry that is on his radios. So that's where a ground station, that sort of setup is good. But it's definitely not going to be for everybody. Convenience factors and that sort of stuff for everyday pilots who are into just FPV fun. I don't like ground stations. There's nothing wrong with them. If you want to go out there, absolutely. Like having a HDMI in or a feed in, you can often increase the usability of your system. So I know my very first goggles that I had, they only had 8 receiver options. So if I wanted to fly around on race band, I needed a ground station that could improve that. So I would take that feed from the ground station, plug that into my goggles, and then I had access to a whole new set of channels that I didn't previously have if I was just using the goggles alone. So, I know, let me know. They are more geared toward fixed wings, guys. You're absolutely right there. Wicked drums. Ground stations are great for fully autonomous flights. yeah, they're not going to be for everybody. I think there are specific use case. Another pro though, that's something that I think is one of the best things for them, is often you can extend your, like you can get your antennas a little bit higher. You can get the receiver units a little bit taller if you put them on a post or a mast or something like that as well. So if you're going for ultimate long range, you want that little bit of extra height. That's where you can't just, unless you want to stand flying around on a ladder. But yeah, and you can set up some really big antennas. You can set up some really big ground stations that are like very directional. They're going to stay focused. They're going to stay locked in. They're going to have a narrow beam that gives you insane range. That's what ground stations are great for. For everyday, just like fun pilots that want to go down, rip a few packs at the local park, crash their drones and come home. It's too much of an issue. So if you're wondering, should you invest in one? 95% of pilots are going to say no. Look at what you want to fly. That would be my thing. Let's see. And then I think that's kind of it, guys. I'm looking at the time here. If you've got any other questions before we disappear, please let me know. Christopher, I'm just reading yours. So 03 to 04 is as similar as HD0 is to walk snail. Oh, okay. From what I gather, most HD chips are whatever ASIC from the encoding, decoding. It is all hardware and not updatable, rather than software and updatable. So the 03 to 04 is as similar as HD0 is to walk snail. Well, then I would say they should have included that hardware in the goggles. Like the counter argument to that is the G3s, which are an older goggle, can still work with the latest air unit. Terry's saying, Stu, can you look into the T1 Ranger, please? Asked about it a little bit above. Sorry there, Terry. How challenging is the T1 Ranger to fly? Will it be challenging coming from quads? Also, I can fly it with the Radio Master Pocket, or do I need to upgrade to a Boxer? Let me just have a Google. Let's have a look. Oh, is that this one? I like that price. Is this a VTOL? No. Oh, we've got our tariffs on here. Oh, no. Okay. How tricky is this to fly? I don't think, oh. I'm not sure, because it doesn't look like it's made for crashing. I will say that much. It looks like a bit more of a precision instrument. Like for all my landing, I just fly it straight into the grass and then like, yeah, that's good enough. This one's got some wheels on here. Why am I losing my voice? Let me just have a look here at Terry's. Will it be challenging coming from quads? Also, can I fly with my Radio Master Pocket? You don't need to upgrade to a Boxer. So if you are flying, the Pocket, I think, is absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. And especially if you're just learning, like this is something that is so good about ELRS. We can get some insane ranges with that. So you will probably lose your video if you are cruising around with this before you lose your Radio Master Pocket link. Please don't upgrade. A Boxer's not going to help you get the most out of this. Ian from Painless says it flies well. So Painless 360 apparently flown one of these. Yeah, just if you've never flown a wing before, my advice would be to get what Wingman Jono would call a basher wing, that just like get the cheapest wing you can, so you can practice flying it and launching it and all that sort of stuff. And then the controls are going to be pretty similar to something like this. It's not going to drastically change. Fixed wing is remarkably easy to fly for me, FPV. You can fly it with one hand. Once the throttle is in the correct position, on a normal wing. It's pretty easy. I think this one's got a rudder though. Is that correct? We've got a new server, yes. Yeah, look, I think wings are actually, these are actually pretty easy to fly. It's just the landing and the takeoff that can be a bit of a problem, but you should have no issues. But my advice before you spend some serious money on something is just get one that you can just practice with. Like, it doesn't matter if it smashes. And the beauty about, like, this is a problem with this, okay? I will tell you a problem. It doesn't look as easy to repair as, say, I did the AR, is it the Mini? Let's have a look. This one right here. Mini wing. So what happens if I search wing? Let's bring it up, the Mojito. Is it the Baby Wing Pro? Sonic model. Okay, this here. Like this. If this breaks, I'm just gluing this straight back together with it like a hot glue gun in the field. Wings have this crazy ability to be, they are affected by small nuances in the aerodynamics of the actual craft itself. However, they will still fly, even when they're like bent terribly, they're stuck together with glue. You could have streamers hanging off the back. Like, they're in this weird space where this spectrum of their flight characteristics, but they're still actually flying, is quite large, but they are affected heavily by what's the airfoil actually like, how is the air moving across, which is the opposite to drones, where these don't really, like, they are pretty robust. They fly, but as soon as something goes wrong with these, you're often in a bit of danger here. So if this motor is not correctly secured, if the flight controller is bouncing around, you're not going to have a good time on a drone, but most of the time you're going to have a pretty locked in time if that is working. Wings are the opposite. They will work almost regardless, but they are affected by those smaller details a little bit more. I don't know if I can explain that a little bit as well. But yeah, go for it, man. Someone's saying I've got an AR Wing Pro and they're sick. That sounds like, is that an Australian term? Because yeah, I say sick all the time, and I just want to clarify that means good. But yeah, go for it, man. Wings are a lot of fun. They really are. And if you can get together with some mates and chase them, that's where that's like, it's really, really cool. Anyway, I would like to say thank you so much for everybody who has been here. It was a little bit of a slower week in terms of FPV news and all that sort of stuff, in terms of products coming out. I have a bunch of videos lined up that I need to go film with Stickman Steve. I do want to fly around and practice some line of sight wings. Like, that is a whole nother ball game. I can fly FPV. Line of sight is crazy, so I'm not too good at that. But I would like to say thanks to each and every one of you people who has tuned in, no matter where you are watching in the world, no matter what is happening in your life. I would like to let you know that you are valued, you are cared about, you are special, you are unique, and I truly do appreciate you being here. So that one person that's listening to this, a small smile they can feel happening on their face, and in the back of their mind, they're like, is he talking about me? I actually am. So I just want to say thanks for being here and let you know that you're valued and special. All right. That's it from me, guys. Be kind to each other. Most importantly, be kind to yourself, because you are awesome. You deserve it. You guys are absolute legends. I will be back next week. This is like number 40. So next week is number 41. It's like coming up on a year of live streaming, which started out as 10 weeks. It's just crazy. Hopefully my voice doesn't disappear. I don't know what's going on. Custom graphics, welcome to the hobby. Oh no, who was that? Not custom graphics. What was he asking about? Sorry, like that. Were you asking about the goggles? Anyway, anyone who's here, new, old, pro, semi-seasoned, super FPV racer, or somebody who is just noticing FPV for the first time, let me just say it's an amazing hobby. It is life-changing, and it's just so much fun. So there we go. I'm out, guys. I will catch you all in my latest video. And I tell you what, do me a favor, either two things. Either one, if you want to become a YouTube member and you appreciate this content, that link should be down there. There's some bonus videos as well. It really does help the channel, help me make more of these videos for you guys. I'm about sharing the hobby, just sharing this passion of FPV and changing people's lives. And number two, the other thing you can do as well is, like, if you go watch one of my other videos straight after this, that lets YouTube know that, hey, people are people do like Stu's content, so that would be greatly appreciated. All right. On that, I will see you on the next video.